Fora TV. The world is thinking.
I was sitting in Peach just before I came over here, and there was a young man, looked to be about 22 years old, and as he was walking out of Pete's, he was lighting up. And I sometimes have this urge to just say, don't you know, what are you, nuts, stop doing that. And I have to resist that impulse because I know how smokers are made. And they're usually made when most people are 12 to 14 years old. It's been important to them in terms of their peer relationships. There's been fantastic advertising targeting those kids. And at 22, he may not yet want to quit. At 28 or 30, he's very likely to want to quit, and it's going to be very difficult. And some people will find it impossible, even with the best care, with the best interventions. So I find myself sometimes, reflecting the idiom of personal responsibility, because I think that's where our culture really is. And so part of it is working against the culture, if you will. When we really understand these behaviors, we reveal the problems with individual responsibility. So that's one thing. The other thing is, to really hold people accountable, you have to have a society that fairly regulates the risk. So if we had much more stringent regulatory approaches to tobacco, then I might, and we had good treatment for tobacco cessation, then I might say individuals, I might be willing to hold people more responsible than I will in the current socio-cultural and political climate. So that's how I've come to think about it. But I teach medical students, and they really don't like smokers. They really don't get taught much about how to talk to smokers, how to help smokers quit. Most of the time that physicians spend with smokers talking about cessation is completely uncompensated. You can't bill the third party. So we really haven't gone anywhere near as far as we could in really building a society where we can help smokers who have become addicted to nicotine quit. There's one other thing we know, and this really undercuts the notion of individual responsibility. There's a recent study which shows that in the last 10 years, a pack of cigarettes has 10% greater yield of nicotine than it had just a decade ago. Now that doesn't happen just by chance. The industry understands meticulously how to control the yield of nicotine in a cigarette. And this is based on industry data. This isn't somebody else, taking cigarettes apart and figuring it out. The industry reported their nicotine content, and when you really look closely at what they report, there's been an increase of 10%. So as Americans are trying to quit, the industry is working to make their product more highly addictive.